What's going on, guys? It's Cimo. Now, today I wanted to bring to you a revised, updated Pure Zoodiac deck profile. A couple weeks ago, I gave you guys the Post-MACR Zoodiac deck profile kind of as a template for where I think the deck should go for the upcoming format, but now that I've gone to my regionals, I ended up going 6-2. I got 15th place, so I was one win away from topping, making top 8, which is all good. I just wanted to give you guys kind of where the deck stands because there's still 3 more weeks, which means if you guys have a regionals or a locals coming up and you guys want to play the deck before Norden and Terratop get on the ban list, I just wanted to give you guys the revised version of what the deck looks like now. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into it. So to start off, we've got 2 copies of Zoodiac Rapier. This is obvious. This isn't really going to change whatsoever. Then we have 3 copies of Zoodiac Whiptail. Still arguably the best one outside of Rapier because just for the OTKs and the damage output that this card possesses. And then to round out the Zoodiac lineup, we have 1 copy of Thoroughblade as well as 1 copy of Ram. Now, this is debatable. I like this monster lineup, but part of me feels like I wish I had 1 extra monster. There were some games that I felt like having 1 extra name would have been really helpful. Whether it's a Thoroughblade or a Ram, that's really up to you. You could even go down to 2 Ram, or excuse me, cut the Thoroughblade for your second Ram if you so like. Thoroughblade's not necessary, but I do really like Thoroughblade for its cycle ability, especially just for getting dead cards out of your hand and getting into cards that you're more than likely going to want, moving on a little bit later. So ultimately the monster lineup is extremely powerful, but I think where it stands right now is totally fine. So then we also have the 4 Speedroids, 3 copies of Terratop, 1 Takatomborg. Again, once the new list hits on June 12th, Terratop's going to go down to 1, but you're still going to play this because it's still the best thing you can possibly play because, free summons are free summons, and being able to bait out hand traps is extremely important. Then we have hand traps, so 3 copies of Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. This is just still the best hand trap. I feel that this is like, if you're going to play any hand trap, you need to play this one at 3 just because it stops so much. Arguably, Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit is much more impactful when it hits something. So for instance, if you hit something like a Rapier on its normal summon effect, or Dragonic Diagrams activation, or a Barrage, I feel like Ogre can have a much higher impact when it stops something, but I feel that that Ash Blossom's, how wide of an application Ash Blossom has makes it the better hand trap, but Ghost Ogre is definitely a good second because when Ghost Ogre just gets dropped, it's going to be just having such high impact, and it's going to be very difficult for your opponent to recover depending on what you hit with that Ogre. And then to round off the hand traps, we have the 1 Max C because, since Pure Zoodiac is still everywhere, and, Zoodiac is just everywhere in general, Max C is arguably the best hand trap. And then also to round out the monsters, we have the 1 copy of the Lunalight Black Sheep. So that's it for the monsters. We're just going to go ahead and get those out of the way here. Now, moving on to the spell cards, we have 2 copies of Fusion Substitute. I'm just going to start with this because I did just mention the Black Sheep. I feel 2 Fusion Substitute is correct for a couple reasons. So if you open the 2-card combo, which requires any way to access Rapier and any level 4, which also could be Barrage or Tanky or anything like that. In addition, you can do the +4 combo, which does require 2 subs, and that puts you so far ahead that it's going to be very difficult for you to lose that game. But if you only manage to open the +2 combo, which is any way to access Rapier, you still have the 2nd Fusion Substitute in your deck, and if you get board wiped and you need to recover, you can do an additional +2 combo on your next turn by getting the Rat back and doing the combo all over again. So I definitely think that 2 sub is correct, and definitely the way I think you should be going. I think 3's too many, although you could play 3 if you like, and I don't think 1 is enough. But again, that's just all my personal opinion. Then we have 3 copies of Zoodiac Barrage. This needs no explanation. This card is utterly broken. 3 copies of Tenki because we want to maximize our ways to get to Rapier as much as possible, and plus any of our other monsters as well. There's no reason not to. I opted to play 3 copies of Cosmic Cyclone. This is something you guys could change in your build potentially, just kind of depending on the meta you're anticipating. For this regional, I was anticipating that there was going to be more True Draco and True Draco Zoodiac than there might be at any other type of events, mainly because the meta in my area, a lot of people are playing that, so this was more of a meta call that I decided to main 3. Again, you could cut a third copy of this rather for, just completely from the deck or for something else entirely. That's completely up to you, but I really felt the 3 was very strong. I was citing them out, for other cards, maybe just depending on the matchup, but definitely was really powerful going first or second. Since a lot of people are opting to not play a ton of traps, Cosmic Cyclone can be really powerful just for hitting their one back row, and then you're clear to go off with all your plays. Obviously, you can't play around the hand traps because you don't know what they're going to really have, but you're going to know then that they don't have any back row that's really going to be menacing whatsoever. So then I had something interesting. So on my last deck profile, I had 3 copies of Chalice, but I decided to cut one down and play 2 copies of My Body as a shield as well. Now, the reason for this is My Body as a shield and Chalice kind of fill the same role, but also in different ways, hit different things that in their own niche way. So Chalice is just good all around, and this card is insane because anytime you get Flying Seed, if you're playing this deck, you can just Chalice the Flying Seed and continue with their turn. I mean, this card, the amount of application Forbidden Chalice has is crazy. But My Body is also crazy as well, is because if you're looking at, like, if you're trying to stop an opposing Zoodiac Trident, Chalice will negate the Trident, but My Body can literally destroy the Trident, and that does so much more than Chalice would do. But My Body is also good as well, is because it prevents you from getting board wiped. And going first with this deck, that's kind of people's like best hard counter, is that if they open the Dark Hole or the Regeki or even the Kaiju Slumber, they have a good way to kind of recover. But if you have the My Body in addition to all your hand traps, any trap cards that you draw, plus your Trident Emerald, My Body can be so good for keeping your board just sustained, and then they still have to deal with your Trident, and if that was their only way to deal with it, then that's going to be a very imposing threat that they're going to have to withstand, and they might just not even be able to handle it. So this card was insane. Just depending on the matchup, like, I just love this ratio. But again, I mean, you could go to 3 Chalice or 3 My Body if you so wish. I was really happy with the 2 and 2. It was very, very flexible. The last but not least, we had the 1 Raigeki, the 1 Dark Hole for the board wipes, and then we had 1 Instant Fusion. So I put this in as a 40-second card. My friend Johnny was recommending it, and I'll explain why when I get to the extra deck. But, I mean, this card, again, some people play this at 2 right now, some people play none. I just opted to play the 1 because I'm playing Gagaga Samurai, and he made the argument that, if you have Norden after you do the Fusion sub combo, it's basically a free Gagaga Samurai for damage or a free Emerald. And I figured that'd be okay, but honestly, this card was rather lackluster this weekend, so I would honestly maybe just cut this because I didn't even feel like it was that useful, especially when you go into games 2 and 3 and your opponent has Dimensional Barrier. This card loses the Dimensional Barrier so hard. So, I mean, it was okay, but I mean, it was rather lackluster, at least for this tournament overall. And since the deck is 42 cards, it's something that I would just consider cutting because anytime I saw the Instant Fusion, I wish I either just didn't have it or I wished it was a different card. Finally, we've got the traps. We've got the 3 Solemn Strike. Then we have the 1 Solemn Warning. You've got the Solemn Brigade here. These were just incredible, especially Warning just because of Masterpiece running around. And then rounding off the traps, Zoodiac Combo. This card is so fucking important right now. I cannot stress to you guys enough how important this card is. So the thing about combo is it gives you so much recovery and sustainability when you get into the grind game with your matchups. This card literally won me games. If I was not playing this card, I would have probably lost a couple of my matches because this card allowed me to just do an entire another Zoodiac combo, get another Trident on the board, and literally win the game because of the fact that I was able to Zoodiac combo 1 additional time. And plus the extra draw off of it is really good as well. So that's it for the main deck. It's 42 cards, like I said. Instant Fusion was the 42nd card, and I think combo was probably the 41st, but again, I'm very happy I played Zoodiac Combo. Now, moving on to the extra deck, I'm going to show just the standard, what I feel is the standard 13, at least for this deck. So we've got the Elder Entity Norden, we've got the Invoker, the Borbo, Hammer Kong, and 1 Tiger Mortar. Tiger Mortar can be up to 2 if you so wish, but I don't feel it's necessary to run it 2. Then we have 2 Broad Bowl, 2 Chakanine, and 2 Trident, and 2 Emerald. So, again, like I said, this I feel is the standard 13, that if you're playing pure Zoodiac, you need to play these 13 no matter what. And then I feel the last 2 slots are really up to you and what you feel are the most ideal for whatever the tournament is and what the meta you're anticipating. So my last 2, I was actually choosing between 3 cards. I was choosing between a third Trident, which I ended up going with, which came in so handy because so many players were only playing 2. Having the third Trident was so ideal because, especially being able to loop back with combo and Emerald and stuff as well, I was able to make like 5 Tridents in some of the grind games, so it was insane. And then I also opted for Samurai. I was considering not playing Samurai just because, you know, it's really kind of, some people argue it's a win more card because if you're going to be able to kill them, you're probably ahead anyway. But with the way that this deck works and like the way that someone could just draw a board wipe and a way to get rat and just completely flip the entire game around, I would rather just win that turn than risk another turn going by and not having to deal with that. So the other card I was considering was a second copy of Tiger Mortar, but as long as you know how to efficiently recycle Tiger Mortar and use it at the correct time, whether you're recycling it with Emerald or your copy of Zoodiac combo, whatever it may be, the one Tiger Mortar is actually all you should need. I never wished I had a second one because I pretty much used it when I knew I could either recycle it or used it when I only really needed it. So that's really what it came down to, and I was really happy with this extra deck. This was actually like the perfect ratio for my extra deck, and I don't wish I did anything differently. I didn't miss Totem Bird or anything as well. Invoker is too necessary for your rank 3 plays, especially off of Terror Top, to go through because of all the hand traps now, that I feel like making Totem Bird is too dangerous, and you really need that Invoker to essentially go through, otherwise it's not going to be worth it. Now for the side deck, 3 copies of Droll and Lockbird, and then 3 copies of Flying Sea. So basically my plan was for the side deck was going second against the mirror match. These 6 cards came in because I wanted to have a total of 13 hand traps going second, so I had some way to stop the Zoodiac combo so that I'd have a chance. And Flying Sea is really good as long as you know when to use it, and my opponent never had a barrage or anything to pop this, so that was really handy. I only draw and locked 1 opponent, but again, after turn 1, this card's kind of lackluster, but if you have it to stop the combo going first, this puts you in really, really good shape, and I kind of just really liked it for that. Draw and Lock's also good for the True Draco matchup, which if I was playing against the True Draco matchup, I would actually side these 6 going second instead. These were for the Masterpiece, and then these were also, you know, just to stop the Heritage and all the draws and stuff like that. So that was my game plan going second against those specific decks, and I was really happy. One thing I do want to talk about is the Godarla, I guess. So before I move on, almost dumped my camera there. So the Godarla, the reason I chose these 3, so I didn't want to play Slumber because Slumber loses to Ash, but I wanted to play 3 different names. Now, Godarla is really interesting because it has 2700 attack. In this deck, you can make any of your Zoodiac monsters 2800 with a Thoroughblade and a Whiptail, so it's actually really easy to get over a 2700 attack monster, so I wanted to pick the 3 weakest Kaijus I could get, so that way if I draw multiples, I can still summon them, but if I only have the 1, I can pretty much out any of them, even just through battle, so I felt that was really good, and it actually came through. My theory was actually correct, and it ended up working pretty well. Then we have 3 copies of Dimensional Barrier. This is for going first against Zoodiac because this is just like your free turn. And then 1 copy of Imperial Order as well. So Imperial Order, I decided to side it just because it's kind of like it's a high risk, high reward card, because if they have the answer to your board and you flip this, like this card can just screw you over. But the Dimensional Barriers, I just absolutely love them. These cards won me games because after I exhausted my opponent out of resources, they would try to come back, you just flip D-Barrier, and then you absolutely win. So definitely a really strong card. So that was 13 cards, and then I was trying to decide on my last 2, and I was asking my friends, and I decided on 2 copies of Twin Twister. Now, these would pretty much go in for the Cosmic Cyclones in the mirror match because Twin Twister in the mirror match is much better than Cosmic Cyclone, but I was siding these in like every game because you can just hit so many good cards, and also too, because it's a regional, you never know what kind of rogue decks are going to show up, so I wanted to have something, I just wanted more spell and trap removal, since that's something that could potentially hurt this deck, especially if you're going second, and these cards were amazing. I always say that if you side every card in your side deck for a tournament, you had a really strong side deck, and this tournament was a perfect example of that, because everything I played was absolutely fantastic. So, guys, that's going to do it for the deck profile. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think, and let me know what your thoughts are. Again, I just wanted to provide you guys with the updated profile, whether you want to play the deck in the next few weeks, or if you're planning to play against the deck, kind of some of the theory that a lot of the players that are playing the deck are thinking, and maybe I gave you guys some strategies from the side deck of how you can help counteract the deck. So guys, thanks so much for watching the video. Be sure to like the video as always, subscribe to the channel for more amazing Yu-Gi-Oh content, and if you enjoyed this video, consider backing me on Patreon, because just by pledging only $1 a month, you're investing in my ability to continue bringing you amazing Yu-Gi-Oh content. So thanks so much again, and we'll see you next time.